A stabiliser on a target archery bow would be much longer. You'd probably see you on 30 inches and beyond. Think of the Olympic archery team. They have great big long stabilisers all over the place. And this is to control the bow when you let go of the bow. You want the bow to remain as stable as possible as you shoot it. So the longer stabilisers have a greater effect, because when you put a stabiliser with a weight at a distance away from the bow and you try to distort the position of the bow at the last instant you shoot it, it becomes harder to move the bow out of position because of the weight being a long way away. Now, the shorter stabilisers do help to some degree, but to a much lesser extent. But they do have an effect, so they have a reduced effect, but they're still worth having on a bow. But on a bow like this, we're really looking at getting the balance of the bow nice. So if we was to hold this bow up in particular, at the moment it just sits, it has a tendency, it wants to roll backwards just a little bit. This is actually one of the best balanced bows you can get. Some bows you'll have will fly backwards or forwards as you hold it in a neutral position. This one wants to sit back a little bit. So if we put this short stabiliser on the front, so as well as helping with the launch of the arrow and reducing the effects of a bad shot, it also changes the balance of the bow slightly. So if we put that on into position, the bow is now sitting in a vertical position. So some people would prefer to have a bigger or a heavier one, some would have a shorter or a lighter one. It really depends how the bow feels when you shoot it. So it gives an improvement in both forgiveness, and this particular one has got lots of these rubber ribs over it and it's a rubber flexible end on it, and that reduces the vibration of the bow and makes it even quieter. So it has a dual purpose. It balances the bow and makes the bow quieter when you shoot it. We need also a sling. So when you shoot a bow, you're not supposed to grip the bow tightly with your bow hand, the hand that you're holding the bow with. Because if you grab the bow and you're trying to strangle it and grip it really tightly, you can torque the bow, you can twist it out of alignment. And what I mean by that is, if I was to draw this bow, it is quite easy on a compound bow to be able to twist the bow left and right. So if I'm holding the bow tightly with my left hand and I'm a bit nervous or a bit shaky, and when I draw the bow I twist it out of position, and you see the pin sights on the front, I can twist it left and right. It's going to make a huge difference to your accuracy. But if your hand is relaxed, everything pops back to straight. So if I'm gripping it, I can twist it offline, but if I relax my fingers, boom, pops back to a straight position. But if you shoot the bow without holding it, especially from a tree stand or downhill, the bow is going to be carrying on after your arrow. So just shooting with a relaxed hand is not enough. So we have a sling, which is just a simple rope that will go under the stabiliser. So if you shoot with a relaxed hand and you're not quite paying attention, the bow won't end up on the floor, and they don't bounce very well. Let's see, so it went through that one. And you just adjust the length to match the size of your hand. So what I want to do is, I don't want this sling to be tight, I want to be able to slip my hand in and out of it okay. And if you're hunting and you've got gloves on, you've got to be aware of that. If you're practicing on the range without gloves and then you climb your tree, put your gloves on and you can't get your hand in your bow, it's not an ideal situation. So it needs to be tight enough not to allow you to drop the bow. If you accidentally let go, it swings on your wrist. That's the idea of this sling. So you still catch the bow, but loose enough to be able to get your hand in and out quite easily. So that's a little bit too tight. And I think that will do for now. Tighten that up. There we go. Stabiliser, sling. And so now if I accidentally drop the bow, it's going to be brave. You're going to catch on the bow so you don't actually drop the bow. But when I say about shooting with a relaxed hand, I don't mean shooting with your hand outstretched like this. You don't actually need to have your fingers away from the bow. They're just relaxed but dropped in front of the bow. So in a normal shot, your fingers do still catch the bow, but it can get away from you sometimes. So if you're not quite expecting it and it flies out your hand, this is what this sling is for. It will just stop it from hitting the floor. Okay, so that is a bow ready for test shooting.
For more information on the Bear Anarchy Bow, visit beararcheryproducts.com. Subscribe to Team Wild TV for the best hunting, gear, airgun and now bow hunting videos on YouTube.